When we think of resistance against slavery, dramatic rebellions often come to mind. But today, I want to share the untold story of what historians call the silent rebellion. The everyday acts of defiance that enslaved people used to maintain their humanity and fight back against an inhuman system. Imagine being forced to work from sunrise to sunset, yet finding ways to secretly teach yourself to read by candlelight, despite laws making it illegal. This was the quiet rebellion thousands chose to wage. They would deliberately work slowly, break tools, or pretend to be sick. Small acts of resistance that challenged their oppressors' control. The Underground Railroad wasn't just a network of escape routes. It was perhaps the greatest organized resistance movement in American history. Harriet Tubman, known as Moses to those she helped free, conducted 13 missions and rescued over 70 enslaved people. But here's what many don't know. She never lost a single passenger, earning her the nickname General Tubman from the great Frederick Douglass. The story of Nat Turner's revolt in 1831, Virginia, shows us the other side of resistance: open rebellion. Turner led the most successful slave uprising in American history, though it ultimately ended in tragedy. But what's less known is how this revolt changed everything. It sent shockwaves through the South and intensified both pro- and anti-slavery movements. But perhaps the most powerful form of resistance was cultural. Enslaved people preserved their African traditions through stories, songs, and spirituals, many of which contained hidden messages about escape routes and meeting points. They created their own communities, maintained family bonds despite forced separations, and passed down oral histories that kept their heritage alive. The truth is, resistance wasn't always about dramatic escapes or violent uprisings. Sometimes it was as simple as a mother naming her child after a proud African warrior, or a grandfather teaching traditional healing practices in secret. These daily acts of defiance preserved not just lives, but an entire culture against overwhelming odds. This is the real story of resistance, not just the dramatic moments that made headlines, but the countless small acts of courage that helped an entire people survive and ultimately triumph over one of history's greatest injustices.